So now it is taking me. Oh, I am. Okay. Okay.
Good morning.
All right, thanks.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Said we're-
Good. How about you?
Good. Put your picture on.
Well,
Go to the left-hand corner, lower left-hand corner. Push the.
start video. Okay.
There you are.
Hey, okay. Let me adjust this thing. I got this laptop, and if I don't adjust it just right, you get to see some things you probably really don't want to see.
All right.
Hi, Pam.
Good morning.
Earl.
Morning, everybody.
Okay, let's see.
How long, D?
We're a little short of, well, let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Is Tom home?
Tom's home. Hi, John.
There's
There
Tom.
he is.
There he
Looking
is.
good.
Sitting by the seashore.
Yes, as usual.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
What we'll do is when your turn is to come over here and sit over here.
Mine's quick.
Okay.
Let's see, we need at least one more for a quorum, don't we? Me, Pam,
Yeah.
Earl, and Tom. 4.
Yeah, it's still a few minutes to 10.
Unless I'm missing somebody. Oh, there's Bob Cunningham.
Is he going to sit in for the mayor, or is the mayor?
Bob can be our man from the city.
The mayor has not told me he's not attending, so I assume he's showing up, but I'm the adjunct if we need.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you anyhow, Bob.
Happy to be here.
Let's see.
I wish Tom would quit putting his vacation pictures behind him.
Yeah.
That picture always makes me feel good, Earl.
Yeah. You need to be sitting there with a tall, cold drink with a little umbrella in it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're still a couple of minutes away.
Here comes Patrick.
Pat,
Pat.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. Everyone look bright-eyed this morning.
Look at.
Morning, Mayor.
Hey, Tom.
Well, I think we have a quorum now, right? D?
Okay, yep, I do.
I have a couple more minutes. No, it's 10 o'clock right now.
It's, yeah, it's 10 o'clock by my watch. So let's bring this thing to order. Note the presence of a quorum. First item is comments from citizens to be heard. Do we have any? I see we may have one here.
Yes, sir. I didn't fill out a form, but I am here. I will say that TxDOT came through with the contractors this week. It was helpful to have them on site to point out what's happening. I do still have some concerns about drainage and how this sidewalk is going to change some of that drainage at the corner of Bay Street and Church specifically. But I will follow that up to make sure that I understand correctly with TxDOT. So I appreciate the openness of this group and the transparency. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I'm pleased that you are there on the scene talking with the TxDOT people who are doing this work. And it's my understanding, John, that the city is the one that is supervising TxDOT, if that's a proper term. If you have a question about something, please don't hesitate to raise it with those folks. And again, we thank you for joining us this morning. Anything else at this point, ma'am?
No, sir. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you. Let's move on to item 2 here and approve the minutes of the November 10th Zoom meeting at which we had no quorum.
Dee, can I interrupt you? I was thinking that Shelley Steckler was going to be here just
I saw her.
Well, let's see. There's a Shelley up here.
and she's muted. So I think she had something to say.
I'm here. I don't.
Oh, okay. I just unmuted her. Yeah, you gotta bear with me.
Shelley, were you going to talk about the issues you talked to me about?
So hi, I'm Shelley Steckler. Nice to meet some of y'all. Some of you I have met. So I joined the meeting this morning. I guess as a citizen, I see that there's a lot of development in Rockport happening. And I met with Earl, and I've met with several other city council members, including Bob Cunningham and Andrea Hatman. I've met with Pat Rousseau, and I've even met with Patrick Rios in regards to the tree ordinance in Rockport. Just in regards to all the development that's happening in Rockport, I know that the tree ordinance has not met in 2 years or 3. I spoke with Diane Saxon. So I just want to bring awareness to the community and see what's happening and meet with different organizations and get my voice out and the voice of a lot of members of the community who have the same concerns. Around my home, particularly, I live off of 1781. There's 800 acres that's being developed. There is at this point no tree ordinance. So people can come in and develop the property, bulldoze 800 acres and potentially pay a $500 fine, but that's not even happening. So I just wanted to meet with you guys, join your, become a member of the Pathways, support you guys, and through this, make my voice heard and our community voice heard, our other members of the community voice heard in regards to, we would like to see the development that's coming in to be, I guess, more green, more friendly to the environment, especially when it comes to the development plans. The zoning committee, is my understanding, meets. I'm new to a lot of this, so please forgive me if I'm ignorant on some matters. I understand that the zoning and planning committee meets in regards to the developments that come in, such as Pearl Point, Hogan Homes, Kokomo, the new development on 3036, and there has been no meeting with the tree ordinance in regards to what trees are going to be saved or not saved, is my understanding. I know that big century oaks are being taken out of a lot of these properties. My husband is in the tree business, so I know what's happening. And also, a lot of these developments, is Pathways being brought into the development, such as Kokomo? I know that they have drainage easements and things. Is all of this part of a master plan?
Shelley, let me make a couple of comments, and then Pat Rios and John Strothman may want to add some comments or maybe correct something that I say. The Pathways organization is a creature of the county. We were formed by Pathways started with a vote of the Aransas County residents, about 70 to 30, back in 2011, I think, to proceed with the Pathways project to be funded by the venue tax, which is a tax on hotel motel stays. The venue tax law is pretty specific in what you can and can't do. You know, the money has got to be spent on what they call tourist development projects, which are designed to bring more people in, more heads and beds, that kind of thing. And it cannot be used to, for general purposes by either the city or the county. You mentioned a number of things, the tree ordinance, planning and zoning, which are both creatures of the city, as best I understand it. Pathways, it's not that, we don't support their objectives, but we don't have a direct responsibility or authority, more specifically there. Same way with the master plans. Those are things that if the development is in the county, then David Reed, who is the county engineer and supervises, for lack of a better word, developments in the county so they comply with the drainage plan. And the city has several people that are involved in that. Amanda Torres is one that I'll mention. Pat may have other thoughts. I'm not trying to dodge anything here, but a lot of this is outside the purview of Pathways, even though we like to think what we do is complementary to some of those objectives. Did I totally confuse you?
No, absolutely not. And I've met with a lot of different avenues, and that's why I'm also meeting with Pathways. I'm going to meet with the Keep Aransas County Beautiful, whichever avenue I need to meet with in order to make more things happen in Rockport, to be more green like we used to be. I feel like the developments that are coming in now are not as green as they used to be. I mean, we can just, even in the county and in the city, they just go in, they bulldoze all the trees, they come back in, they plant palm trees, which are not even native. And it's just, I mean, the century oaks, I mean, are being cut down. And to me, that is just something that shouldn't be happening. So whichever avenue I need to meet with to make the citizen voices heard, then that's what I've been doing.
Well, I appreciate your concern and your activism, if you will. Our meetings, Pathways meetings, are always open to the public, always have been. And, one of these days we'll get back to meeting in person, I hope. And I hope that's, but you are always welcome to come and, make
So for example, I'm planning on going to the meeting this evening in regards to the 14 acres on Fulton Beach Road. Now, is that something, I know it's potentially being purchased by a different developer. Now, is that something that Pathways, because it does, my understanding has to do with, and Earl can probably talk a lot more about this, has to do with the drainage of Rockport. And to me, that's a priceless piece of property. It's one of the only few properties in Rockport that has wetlands and windswept oaks. Is there any way that Pathways would have any interest or could acquire this property if this future development were to fall through?
I don't know what specific property you're talking about, but I'll be frank with you, at this point, Pathways really doesn't have money for property acquisition. We were allocated a little over $2 million back in 2011 to develop a number of specific projects. And we're pretty much done what we wanted to do, with a few exceptions, particularly trails. So we're not big into the property acquisition business now, and it's just simply a matter of money.
Dee, let me comment. Shelley talked to me about all of the development going on out west. I sent Jennifer the diagram she gave me of just what the potential is, but we do connect in the sense of trails, because in the comprehensive plan for the city, it talks about they want to connect into the Pathways plan for trails. One of the things we wanted to encourage in development was trails that connected into the pathway trails. I mean, that was one of the leading pushes, and Pathways was a mechanism for us to get, involved in that. But we want to encourage smart development in the trails into these new developments, which would connect to our trails and down to the central point, is something that really needs to be encouraged. It's in the city comprehensive plan. And I really wanted this opportunity just to remind ourselves that was one of our goals originally, was to actually stimulate some smart growth. And in relation to the property that they're talking about on trailer, the trailer sidewalk goes down to what was going to be the Fulton Beach Road path across to Fulton. I'm not sure where that stands now with on at least that portion of it, but we had looked in Aransas first at getting a conservation easement on the 2.5 acres of wetland at that. And we could actually put a pathways, a little kiosk and a bird watching site there, and without really much expense, and be another one of our birding sites. So 3 years ago, there was a potential developer of that site, and we looked at that Corps of Engineers wetland as a conservation easement, and with the ability that it actually connected already with the sidewalk that goes back to the Central Thule marsh site as part of a walking trail. So that was kind of a no-brainer that we could add on to that. If we could ever get the Fulton Beach Road, it would really be a great stop-off point for a trail down the Fulton Beach Road, at least to Fulton, between Palmetto and Trailer. And so we do have, I think we do have and should have some interest in encouraging trails to connect with the pathways as we originally discussed. And I think all that Shelley's saying is that we need to encourage that. It really is in the city purview in terms of planning, zoning, and approval of the layouts of the divisions, but they can certainly encourage that as they've put in their comprehensive city plan to do that. And I would encourage them to really do that.
Point of order, D, are we still in citizens to be heard?
Yes.
What we've done is we've run way past the 3 minutes that were allocated for that. And I'd suggest that we take this up further on in the agenda under some other item, or have another or plan for another discussion about this, perhaps next meeting.
Well, I think that's right, Tom. There's a whole lot that we can just jump in and do. I would just add one further comment that if somebody sees a potential role for pathways that doesn't require writing a big check, because we can't do that, come to us and let's look at the specifics.
I would like to just point out that Pathways' mission is to build venues and events to attract tourism to our community. We're not in the land activism business or land acquisition to preserve it business. That's not the purpose of Pathways.
Well, it's not our remit, John, and you're absolutely right.
So
That's right.
we need to keep that in mind, and that I appreciate the plight, but that's not what we do.
But if I may speak for a second, that property brings in a ton of birding. The birding community is huge, and they
Right.
come in from all over the world. I used to work on Tommy Moore's bird boat for 3 years. So I'm very aware of the birding community, and they come in from all over the world to take photos of the birds. And to me, that is part of what Pathways is. You're part of bringing in part of the community, bringing in tourism, correct?
What we are not, what Dee has said is that we are no longer in a position to add more venues to our portfolio of venues that we have now. We have 5 active bird sites. We have kayak sites. We're there to provide these things for these folks who want to come into our town and bird. I'm a birder, so I know, but we want to come into town and bird. And so we have 5 projects that we have put together. They're parking lots, they've got trails, and we also have a number of other sites that have been designated as possible birding sites. And so I understand, totally understand, but that is the purpose of Pathways, is to draw people here to do just what you said. But we've spent all the money that we have available to do that. And so we don't have any funds to go forward. And the money that we get in on venue tax is meant to cover the cost of the bond that we floated, plus keeping the venues that we built in good shape for people to come visit. So we're not, we can't use that money to go buy new properties. Okay? I appreciate that. I'm a birder. I bird probably 2-3 days a week. And I understand. Well, every piece, we can't do it. We just don't have the money for it.
Once again, if somebody's got a suggestion of how Pathways can help or participate in something, let's talk about specifics instead of generalities. Because a generality we no longer have any capital funds to spend acquiring sites and so forth, but we'll entertain reasonable proposals. With that, I think it's time for us to move on here. And I think the next item is to hear and approve the minutes of the November 10th meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Also move.
Vote second.
Second.
Okay.
You were supposed to correct it.
Further discussion of the minutes? All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item 3. Here, discuss and approve of appropriate the report and recommendations from the marketing committee. Is Sandy with us?
Speak up for her.
No.
Go ahead, Jim.
Sandy not here?
No.
No, she's not. I can speak to some of those things. The geocaching issue is that the chamber, through the Tourism Development Council that I serve on, is setting up a geocaching tour. And they will begin with about 35 sites that will be put on this tour and advertised by the National Geocaching Organization, which is really huge. And so some of the sites that will be set up on this geocaching tour are pathway sites. I'll be glad to answer other questions if anybody has any questions. They've had at the chamber a geocaching site for a long time, and we've had them at Connie Hager and at the History Center. So, we see the active interest of people who come to those sites and sign in, and it moves them around town quite a bit. Everybody understand geocaching?
It's all done. It's all done with your cell phone, right?
Yes.
Like
You have
GPS locations?
You have a cell phone app, and it gives you the map locations where all the geocaches are. They're like little treasure chest of tokens and a sign-in sheet. So it can be as small as a medicine bottle or as large as like an ammunition box, something like that. And these things are hidden. People go there by the map, by longitude, latitude, and check in that way. But the main thing is it moves people around town. It'll move people to our different pathway sites. So I think it's real valuable. And the TDC marketing plan, again, part of that council or committee for the chamber. And one of the 8 goals that are part of that plan are to up the level of interest and publicity for pathway sites. So I think Sandy just wanted to bring that up as a major point, saying, the Chamber of the Tourism Development Council is really recognizing pathways and spending the time and effort on it.
Pam, do you know whether Sandy has plans to include geocaching in her next volume of pathways information, so that it's there if someone wants to find it, they could at least find the link to the chamber, if not publish their own information?
Sure, to connect to the pathway site, the website.
Yes.
Sure. I'll add that in there. And then I've got another item that I know y'all are going to go, what? Anyway, for publicity.
Yes.
The Sesquicentennial is going to have a parade. Now, wait a minute.
What?
It's going to have a parade on June 19th. And I think the pathways ought to have a float.
Pathways float.
Everybody raise their hand. Anybody who wants to be on the float.
If I can chime in, Pam, the Texas Master Naturalists are considering having a float in that parade, and we'd welcome being able to do that, in conjunction with or next in line with pathways, if you all are similarly inclined.
Great.
Who's going to build the float, Pam?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm already building one for History Center.
History Center.
It doesn't take much in Rockport to build a float. Earl has a lot of trailers in his yard. And so all we need to do is put up a little fence around one of his trailers and put a little astro grass out there. A couple of pathway signs, a big logo. We already have the logo as a tablecloth. I mean, it doesn't take much in Rockport to create a float. Anyway, I just would like it in the minutes, and maybe it can come back up as an item on our agendas.
Cool.
Okay. Pam, let me make sure I understand what was just said here, that there's a parade on June 19th and Pathways wants to put a float in it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Wants Pathways to put a float in it.
Yeah, okay.
It would be a good publicity stunt.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Pathways is not running the parade though, right?
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
We could put a big map. We could put a big map of the county with the pathway sites on it, like we originally had, and that would be a nice decoration for it. I think and good.
I think it's a good idea.
Step in.
Okay.
Has a lot of possibilities. And again, if we joined with Master Naturalists, maybe we could just have a corner of their float or however we could work it out.
Okay, thanks, Pam. Anything else?
Dee, I have something to bring up. Will you mute yours, John?
Oh, okay. Let me mute.
Okay. I wanted to see if we could get a vote on the Rockport Fulton Area Visitors Guide. There's a 20% discount. If we do a half page on it, it's regular $980, but we can get it for $780. And I wanted to see if that was something that we could vote on.
Well, historically, we've participated in that, have we not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'd make we do it again.
Yeah, I usually leave these kind of momentous decisions to Sandy and all, but if it's, consensus from the folks that are more knowledgeable about this than I am, I would say, and Tom makes a good point. We have historically done that. I would certainly be in favor of it. Do we need a motion and a formal vote?
I got a motion on the floor, D. You might want to second.
Okay. Motion made, seconded, I presume, from somewhere.
No second.
Okay, and that would we spend up to how much?
700, I think, that's what I heard.
Up $750, was it?
$780.
$780, up to $780 on an ad in the visitor's guide. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any objections? I think you got it, Jennifer. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 4. Here to appropriate the following technical committee reports and recommendations. John, you're up first.
Yes, what I want to, I'm going to pass it to Jennifer in a few minutes. But what I want to tell the committee is my job role with the county has changed as of Thursday, this Thursday coming. And I will be a lot more involved in recovery. Involved up to my neck now, but it's going to be over my head now. So what I'm going to be doing is transferring the responsibilities of Pathways to Jennifer Hurd, who sits right across here. So I'll always be here for her, but she's going to try to handle she's not going to try, she's going to do a great job. She's going to handle the day-to-day stuff that Pathways, Russ and all that stuff. And she'll be conducting the meetings, and she'll be a part of, the big part of the project now. So I will be in the background, but Jennifer will be handling all of the day-to-day stuff now with Pathways. So anyway.
Okay.
Any questions?
John, one comment, mainly to Jennifer. Please do not hesitate to call up and ask me or Tom or anybody else any kind of question, no matter how small you might think it is. We'll be glad to tell you what we know and try to help you out with it. I understand that I think I understand the new setup, and at this point, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that very nice award that Commissioners Court, the judge gave to Jennifer a few weeks ago for distinguished service. But saying I think it was well deserved. And so Jennifer, we look forward to working with you on this deal.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. We were tired of working with John anyway. Any questions, comments from anybody? Okay. Okay, what else you got on from the?
I'm fixing to get some bids for the irrigation at the History Center. I'm working on getting a collection of those companies that I can get them. York Bridge, the engineering's been done, and I'm working on getting a roll-off dumpster and porta-johns moved to the site. We don't have a date on it yet. Hopefully we'll have that very soon when they'll start on that. And the sidewalk project is underway. There've been a couple of hiccups on that, and we're working through those right now.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Well, I think
And the $1,000 for the History Center should be going out.
Gone out already.
If it hasn't gone out already.
Okay.
I like to point
All right.
out, Dee, I'd like
Oh, I
to,
turned my back.
Okay.
Oh,
I had a comment about Jennifer's role. I think that, she mentioned a couple of hiccups. I think that when we have those, Dee and I need to be made aware of them if we want to be involved or not is another thing, but we hear a lot from the public ourselves. So if there's something that we need to know about, please let us know. You can do it. Email's fine if it's a simple thing. If it's something that requires some discussion, then I'm certainly available. I'm sure Dee could be available as well.
Yes. Okay. Ready to move on to birding?
sure.
Deborah is not with us right now.
No,
Okay. All well on the birding front?
birding front is picking up. I'll talk for a second. The migration is underway and birding front is doing well. We have visitors to our sites.
How many people are now on the committee, John?
Me.
Well, I think you're probably a very good representative of the Pathways Group, but it seems to me from a membership standpoint, we should help as an organization promote the birders if they want to be promoted. I don't want to jump into their business, but the birding is a big part of what we do, and it was a big part of how Pathways got established in the first place.
Correct.
And I hate to see it boil down to one person. He's a Pathways guy. So I think, I don't know whether there's interest or not from the group, but I would like to recommend that we do everything we can to promote them in accordance with how they would like to be promoted. So I think we need to be asking them the question of whoever purports to be the lead birder now, whether it's Deb or anybody else, how can we help you? And maybe go from there.
I don't disagree with you. I know we have a lot of birders in our community, and we can talk about this as a volunteer thing. Deanna's going to come on in a second about volunteer efforts, but the problem is, it's getting people who want to visit the sites, talk to people. That's the kind of thing that help promote it. And how do we do some specific advertising towards birding? My wife and I bird, like I told the young lady a little bit ago, 2 or 3 times a week now. So
and now that means there's 2 of you, not just 1 of you. So that's great.
yeah, let's put the wife on the birding. She photographs, and we could work out a Facebook page, specifically a Pathways page for birding, and push her pictures out through through the page. She photographs a lot of it. Some of it's now been published, and so she can get people more enthused about it. I will ask her.
Thank you.
Dee, also, I can ask Gailey Opum, who's with the Bird Club, that has worked with Deborah a lot, because Deborah's really tied up now up in Bryan College Station.
Yeah.
And see if she can find some people that would she or someone else take her place in this.
While we're on birding, let me ask a question. What kind of hit did we take at Castro on our vegetation and so forth for the big freeze? Are there some serious things that need to be done about that, or is it a matter of letting it recover?
Well, I can speak a little bit on that. Well, let me go back to the birding thing. We have volunteers at the parks filling the hummingbird feeders at Linda Castro, Connie Haver, the Easter Center, and Ivy Lane. So the volunteers go out every couple days and refill those, and we really appreciate the volunteers for doing that. That's a lot of maintenance or a lot of work. But anyways, for back to the most recent cleanup we had over the weekend at Linda Castro. Yes, the storm pretty much took out all the butterfly flowers. It pretty much most everything was frozen or damaged. So we had a Texas State Wildlife Society came over the weekend, came Saturday, and it was their first official visit back since COVID-19. So it's a big deal. I think maybe we'll start getting the college groups to come down more and to help more. But they worked so hard from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. They worked on with the Castro, pulling all the dead vegetation, and then we laid down mulch, and so it's nice and clean and pretty. If we want to add a few plants, we can. It's prepared and it's ready. So they did all the beds surrounding the main entrance as you drive in. So it's the first thing that you see is everything's clean and nice and pretty.
Did we send them a thank you note yet?
Yes. I'm there with them all day, thanking them from the rooftop. I send them emails. I continually reach out to them throughout the year. So we're always top of mind with the group. And I've connected them with Morgan at Sea Grant to discuss maybe they could do an internship with us or a grade or a class. So they're going to get together and see how they can present it to Texas State University in Austin about maybe doing the same kind of thing that the Sea Grant group did here. So that's a possibility. Then we have the next. Anyway, so Linda Castro has been neglected for a while. Then the storm pretty much did it over. But now it looked pretty good with the whole full day of working on it. It's looking a lot better. So the next Earth Day project, April's Earth Day. So when I sent out the press releases, we had a theme of Earth Day to kind of create a little bit different marketing angle. The next Earth Day is at Connie Hager Cottage Sanctuary on the April 24th. And for that site, it's looking really good. We have cleared out all the dead vegetation, pulled out all the weeds. We have put mulch down, and so now we have a prepared plan. Native Dave's has given us a list of plants, and we will put in some new plants on the 24th. And we already have some volunteers lined up for that day.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so and then I have one last thing. We ordered, I don't know if you can see it, but we ordered some lapel pins with the Pathways logo. And we did this to give to the volunteers. And I gave the first group, Texas State Wildlife Society, that came on Saturday, and they loved them. So anyway,
Right.
So I'll get with Jennifer and see if we can mail it out to all of y'all.
And we'll work on organizing a birding volunteer do some Facebook
Yeah,
posts and stuff, trying to get some volunteers, help with like visiting the venues, talk to people,
right.
maybe do bird tours, things like
Sure. Absolutely.
we can figure that out.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Okay, thanks. Anything, oops, excuse me.
that's all.
Councilman Birding? In
That's
that
it.
case, let's move on to volunteers.
Thank you.
This-
That was volunteers.
Yeah, that was volunteers. The one other thing that we talked about, don't go away. Anyway, don't go away, Deanna. The other thing that we've talked about when we talked about volunteer recruitment was having a paid person
Yes.
at Connie Hager and at Linda Castro. You know, once we got the spring cleanup, mulch and everything, but having somebody there just a half a day a week. And so I wonder how we get that back on the agenda
We can do it.
to be considered, or you know, what the process would be there. It's made all the difference in the world at the History Center. The History Center pays for a gardener to come in 1/2 a day a week. And by doing that, you know, she's able to keep up with things in the garden. And I think that's, you know, Deanna's done a great job and we've got some great volunteers, but I think it really takes a consistent effort to keep those sites.
We have something. My
Okay.
turn.
Okay, John's coming back.
My turn.
Okay.
Okay. Renee Butler, who runs our maintenance department for the county, we had a conversation about 3 weeks ago, and she has Laura Clark, who is on her payroll, and she would be willing to let Laura work in our gardens for 4 hours a week, and then Renee would bill us directly through the county. So it'd be a county department to Pathways, and so it would be billed at a reasonable rate, and Laura would put 4 hours a week in either, whether it be Castro or the History Center or one of the other venues. But we could get that hasn't been totally worked out, but that was on the table last couple of weeks. So I mean, Laura's been with us for a while. She's worked on our venues, and I was always concerned that we would have a problem with her being a county employee and working in the county and the pathway venues, where it'd be a double dipping issue. But if we bill through the county at county rate, then it's I think it works out.
That sounds like a pretty good plan to me, John, with the concept maybe that 1 week she would say work at Castro, the next week at Connie Hager.
Right.
Yeah. And
so
I remember when this came up earlier, and I thought it made pretty good sense to have somebody like that. I can't understand the concept in my own yard.
Jennifer work out the
most
details.
unhappy.
Yeah, Jennifer work out the details with Renee, and we can get that started soon.
Okay, so that's basically a done deal then.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion on this? I think we do.
I'm sorry?
I think we need a motion on it.
Okay, make a motion.
Move we
What
hire,
John just said?
Yep, go ahead, Tom, make your motion.
I move we hire Laura Clark on a part-time basis through the county to take care of venues as directed by the project manager.
Okay, got a second?
Second.
Okay, Pat seconded. All right, further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I think that's a good plan. I appreciate y'all working that out.
Yep, Jennifer will get this all squared away this week.
Anything else on the volunteer item? Moving on to historical.
You
Okay.
bet.
Again, Pam.
We had, for one thing, we had the Sesquicentennial stroll to again emphasize all of the historic markers and locations in the downtown areas. That was spearheaded out of the Chamber of Commerce. We had a book signing for the ABCs of the Rockport Fulton Art Colony on April 9th. I'm sorry, that was earlier. Then April 9th, we did docent training at the History Center for our exhibit that opened the next day. The new exhibit is Places in Time, Landmarks in Aransas County. So we have a lot of historic buildings. The posters are about the architecture and the people who've owned those buildings through the years. It's kind of fun. To emphasize that further, we're going to do a walking tour of the Live Oak Heights neighborhood. That's what our little neighborhood there was called when it was first developed, Live Oak Heights. Okay, we'll do 7 sites. It'll take a little bit under an hour to do that. Somehow I didn't put May 15th, but May 15th, we're going to open our Sesquicentennial Exhibit, which is called Voices from the Past. And you'll be hearing a lot about that. We've got some really interesting artifacts and some wonderful posters, and Pathways has contributed to that and will be noted as one of the sponsors on the sponsor wall for that exhibit. In Connie Hager, Deanna's already mentioned there'll be a work day this Saturday. So on Sesquicentennial, we had the March opening of this exhibit on landmarks. We'll have the opening on the 15th of the Voices, and then on the 22nd, the 22nd of May, Fulton Mansion will open a special exhibit that'll be tied to the Sesquicentennial. So we're just sort of rolling out things a couple of times a month. The other thing that'll roll out this month or in the next week or two will be the T-shirt. You probably saw that illustrated in the newspaper last week. We had students from the high school do the artwork and chose one design to be on the T-shirt. So that Sesquicentennial T-shirt will be out the next couple of weeks. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Pam. Any further questions for Pam? Moving on to trails.
Me again.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Go ahead.
We did kind of already talk about the sidewalk project, that it is underway. I've talked with the city representative that's going to be over it yesterday. So I told him I was going to be touching base with him at like once a week, make sure nothing's going wrong. If there is something going wrong, that we can work with him to get it taken care of. So I'll be following up on that. The kayak sites, John has started taking me out to each one of the kayak sites, showing me, you know, what I need to be looking for, just showing me the sites in general. And I've loved them so far. We did 4 or 5 of them last Friday. What else, John?
That's it.
And they're looking great so far. I gave Russ a couple of things to do this morning, but they're looking really good.
Okay, thanks. Any questions or further discussions on trails?
Yeah, this is Earl. I want to go back to what we talked a little bit about before, because there is a lot of development going on out west. And we've talked in the past about trying to look at the drainage easement that goes from Memorial Park out to 35. There's 2 developments. Do you have that, Jennifer, on that map I sent you a while ago? Can you pull it up?
I don't know that I know how, but I'll try.
Well, just pull it up and share the screen. It'll do it. But anyway, there's only 2 lots that Al Johnson's group owns that separates Memorial Park in the back from this drainage easement that goes all the way to bypass 35. There's 90 acres of proposed development that's being looked at directly adjacent to that easement. And this would be an opportunity to encourage those developers. Not that one, the other one. Oh, well, we can just leave that one up. And I'll go back to the other. Yeah. This is a proposed development down on Fulton Beach Road, and that's the wetland pond that you see at the corner of Trailer and Fulton Beach Road. And that's a U.S. Corps of Engineers dedicated wetland. And what we had thought of 3 years ago when it came up would be to get a conservation easement on that or have that donated to Aransas First, with the idea though that that sidewalk that goes down to Trailer goes to that point, and we could put a little kiosk with a bench on it, and that's what really all it would cost us to make that a birding site as part of Pathways. And that was going to fit in neatly with the Fulton Beach Road project for the Shoreline Initiative, which I don't know where that stands in terms of that little bit of that portion, John.
The
But
Fulton Beach Road project is on the shelf.
yeah, but even
There
if
is no funding for it.
but even if it doesn't go, that's still people bike and walk along that beach line. But there's a sidewalk down Trailer all the way to this point, so that's kind of
Right.
a no-brainer that would cost us no money to put a site there and work out with any developer on that site. And that would require some cooperation with the city and the Corps and all that. But that's a no cost additional site for Pathways. To go back to the other one that I sent, Jennifer.
Jennifer, put up the other plans if you got it.
Yeah, it just shows all of the development out west. I want to show the one that we could tap off to on Memorial Park easily enough. And the idea would be that path is already there, but get the developers to pay for trails going into it and the connection into the main trail system. And again, I want to remind everybody, this steering committee is a partnership between the city, the county. Dee actually double represented the county on the stormwater committee. And this is what part of the plan was, so we could work together to encourage smart development in the community.
Not our job.
Get our orientation here. Oh, see where the area is on the subject property? And then on the left, and then the one that says sold just below that, where right above the property line. Right above that is along that boundary is a 30-foot drainage easement, and it goes all the way to Memorial Park. And so that would be a nice addition to try to get developers in those areas to build trails that hook into that, so the new residents in those areas could be connected. There's also, I didn't realize it, but there's the AEP right away. But there's also street right-of-ways at each of those boundaries, so we could encourage developers. And so I'm really talking to you, Patrick, in the city, and Bob, could encourage people to put in sidewalks or connector trails so that everyone in those areas could actually access into the trail system. That's a no cost for us. It would build our trails. Tourists do go visit people in these new subdivisions, so it's going to be an asset to the tourists. But these are things we can do at no cost to really increase our trail system. And that was really the original concept of the trail system. Get enough infrastructure on trails that when new development comes in, we could get the developers to tap into that. And actually, everyone that I've ever talked to in those early years said this would be a great thing, and it would really encourage smart development, and the developers would like it also, as long as they can get it platted in the city planning process and not have their whole plat paid for before anybody thinks about adding the trails in. So I just want to bring it up to keep that concept in mind, that part of this was our original purpose, was to encourage this. And it's really to let the developers pay for it, not us pay for it. That's all.
Okay, thoughts, comments?
Question. On the 30-foot easement, Earl, have you negotiated with anybody, or you're just looking for somebody else to do that?
No, I mean, I'll be glad to push it, but I think we could do it as a city county planning cooperative to encourage that. The easement is there. I had to remind David that it was there, but it is. And it's not being utilized right now. But one of the things we had said when we started stormwater prior to pathways was that we would use drainage easements as possible trails. And, you know, like Sam Henry's Coastal Wildwoods, he put a walking path down his draining easement so we can connect the two portions of Aransas Woods. And it's a dedicated easement, walking easement, that's a trail that is in his subdivision. So it's that sort of thing we want to really encourage in these new developments. And it's a freebie, basically, for us if we do it. But again, that's why Bob and why Pat are on this committee, and why we all were interested in the first place. So I don't want us to forget trails and think that we're not going to build anything.
It's a great idea. I think you know, we've talked. We haven't had any on that piece of property yet. We haven't had anyone come to the city, at least to my knowledge, with a pre-development plan. But if they do, that's on our radar. Just
right, and that's all I want us to be assured of.
Right, and like I say, if we can get them to fund it, you know, our positions, it would actually enhance their development if they had trails and connect the neighborhoods and things, especially to connect to Memorial Park.
Yes.
No, I like it.
No, that's a great thought. If you can put it together, there's a lot of moving parts. Are there any, or for lack of a better word, conservation easement-like benefits available to developers if they would dedicate some trails and that sort of thing? Sure. I mean, we actually have one, which is called Connie Hager, okay, to protect it from being sold, because their original bylaws allowed their board of directors to actually sell that in the future if they wanted. So we got the easement on it, and then the county leases that property. But in terms of specific developments, when I was on the National Wildlife Federation board, we had whole sessions, and we had some really great examples. One from Santa Fe, one from Boise, Idaho, where they took a tract of land and actually pooled several developers together in a high growth area. They pulled out their park requirement into a dedicated park area with walking trails. And then a land trust had the easement on it. They were able to take that off of their tax roll, but their total tax roll was enhanced because of the increased value of the property of the people that lived on it. And it worked out as a win-win where the developers could get a break in terms of, and the owners could get a break in terms of taxation. Do the developers that are playing down here know about this? I don't know, but I think that's where Pat and the city come in, that we do this as a cooperative effort. And we, in this, like this one project is a real high density, probably overly high density, but a real high density development. And they can dedicate part of that as an easement and take the tax break on it. And then in return, though, we wind up as a site for both tourists and their property owners. And so there's great examples of that has been done over the country. It's easier when you have really big chunks of land, but that's a big chunk of land out west off of 35. And if we could get all those potential developers together or have a comprehensive plan where they could all donate their quote park requirement into one area that's consolidated, not just a little chunk in the corner like it often winds up being. And that's in the city plan, zoning plans, that they're required to do that. We can make something really nice out in that area and then hook it into pathways, and it'd be a win-win for everyone, I think. Okay. Any further thoughts or comments? In that case, let's move on to kayaks. Any thing we need to talk about on kayak sites?
No, they're good. Jennifer said it already.
Good shape. Okay. Item 6, item 5, recommendations for the grant committee. Anything there?
Ain't nobody, there's nobody left in the grant committee, I don't think.
There is, yeah. All right, moving on to item 6, signage committee.
Yeah, we got 3 new signs coming in. That's all. I'm picking them up on Thursday.
Okay,
I'm being
that pretty
incorporated.
well takes care of, our signage loss after Harvey and various other things.
Yeah, the current signs are just worn out signs. So those are new. The Connie Hager signs at the corner of First and Church are faded from the sun. So we just ordered new signs. And there was one venue sign that was just, it didn't get destroyed by the storm, but it is faded from the sun. So it needs to be replaced.
John, I think you already ordered a History Center sign for Linden and Live Oak, but that's not up. We off of Pearl, we have a sign that leads you to that junction, and then there's nothing at Linden and Live Oak.
Isn't there, I have to go back and look. I thought we had the sign, that sign, there's just one direction, right?
Yes, I thought we did too, but it's not there.
No, it got lost in the storm.
Yeah.
All right.
Linden and Live Oak.
Let me, we'll get something ordered.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, items from the chairs. We've got approve appreciation award. Have we kind of already done that with the little lapel pins?
Yes.
So that's a fait accompli, huh? All right, anything else regarding appreciation awards? Item 8, date for the next meeting.
I got one question to ask.
Shoot.
How many of this group here have their shots already done? Or your vaccines? How many people?
COVID shots? Yep. I do.
I'm halfway there.
You're halfway there. Do you want to schedule next month for a in-person meeting and not do the Zoom?
Yes. Yeah, I think we should. If somebody is uncomfortable, let's set it up so they can join by Zoom.
The problem I have with is Colin, our IT guy, having to set it up and have somebody available at the
well, let's try it in person then. And unless a bunch of you object to that, I think it's time to sort of start living again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I have a question. Is it possible that I could share some photos for the geocache? And I apologize, I had some technical difficulties getting in, so I was a little late. But is it possible to share the photos? Because there's two possible places at Castro that she wanted to look at putting the geocache.
Go ahead.
Go for it. You've got them where you can bring them up now, or?
Can you see it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first place, and that's the bench as you first entered Castro. And she said something about putting it right there in that corner, or maybe right here, right next to the fence.
No, we go right. I mean, I don't.
And that's the geocache.
Is it on a pedestal? Is it on a
It
pedestal?
will be on a like a, they're gonna build something for it to sit on.
Be on a poster.
And she's right, and probably about as high as she's holding it, I think, maybe a little taller.
I would not see any particular problem with either one of those sites. I don't think it interferes with anything.
Okay, and
a lot of dead bushes out there.
It's dead grass, yeah.
I think the bench makes it more accessible.
Okay.
Yes. That would seem maybe a little more convenient than back up by the fence.
Okay, and then there's one more, and that's for, let me see if I can get that one. Tuli. Yeah, I don't think I can bring that one up. but she wanted to do it on the fence post at Thule. I don't think I have those. I
Which
don't
one
have-
at, where's the fence, which fence post, Sandy?
It's the one next to, like, I'm trying to get acclimated here. If you're looking at that strip mall, do you know where you put the gate?
It's our screening fence?
It's just to the right of that.
Okay.
Is there any issues with that, why we couldn't use that one? I don't think I have the other
so.
pictures.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, we got Sandy's emails.
Would y'all answer some of these for me, please?
Sure.
Ask her if that's it.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's
I
that's
don't
in
see
the
any
demo
problem with that.
garden, I think. That's in the demo garden, but the demo garden hasn't been,
We haven't worked on that thing in 2 years, 3 years.
And she wanted to know, she was holding it lower, and the reason being was because so children could reach it, but she said she could put it higher and maybe make a little step where the kids could step on.
Okay.
Put a hole in it and call it a wood duck nest.
She was trying to make it look like a nest.
Get a hoot owl in there. All
I don't
right.
see any objections to any of those.
Hey,
Okay.
Sandy, off that.
Okay,
Talk to me about putting one at Arias' Woods too.
Okay.
next meeting. How about May 11th?
Works
Sometime.
for me.
That's our tourism luncheon, the chamber luncheon.
Not a good
That
time?
might
All right, we go to the 12th maybe, or are you in the middle of chamber stuff then too?
May 12th? Or you want to jump the week?
Wednesday or the 19th?
Yeah, we go the 18th. I'm not gonna be here on the 18th, but that's not a problem.
Well, I'll be here, so.
All right, we'll do it May 18th.
You want us to go Tuesday, the 18th?
Okay.
Going once, going twice.
Okay, that'll be live.
Tuesday, the 18th? All
And-
right.
and Jennifer will be back to you all about, we'll get the aquarium set up and plan on it being in the aquarium, education center.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thanks, everybody. We're done.
Good, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.